This is Rooted Cosmic Soul, Season 2 of Broom Closet Recordings, Healing the Patriarchy-within, and the here and the there, offering rememberings in times of chaos, confusion, love, and belonging. I am Deidre, your sometimes reluctant but always growing guide. In this season, I'll be sharing channeled and conjured episodes related to healing the patriarchy within. There's a link in the description to the digital book titled the same. If you haven't already, please subscribe and like. This will help me grow the channel and therefore grow my ability to continue these offerings with dedicated focus. I deeply appreciate you being here.
Hello, y'all. Today I wanted to share some ideas around what could be considered a paradox for some folks. This idea of healing the patriarchy inside while living in the patriarchy outside, right? The idea of like trying to detox from a drug while actively taking a drug, right? Is this a paradox? Is it absurd to think that one could do this? And I totally understand the question. I don't think it's a paradox, and yet I experience that paradox. So, we're in magic land, right? Two things can be true at the same time. At the same time, here's what I want to share. If you are interested in this idea of healing the patriarchy within, I think one of the things that can be helpful if you find yourself grappling with this idea of this paradox is to consider that you do in fact have a choice in this journey, in this path. We have choices every day of whether we are going to be actively complicit, or if we're going to choose to work on not being complicit, right? Work on what do I need to know about myself and about the patriarchy to figure out who I want to be. And to me, part of that clarity of choice or the decision that comes from those choices is going to be connected to one's purpose. For some folks, there's a lot of folks who are consciously and unconsciously choosing the patriarchy, right? Choosing to actually not be any different, and rationalizing it well, and that's a choice. But there's a point where those of us who know our purpose, and particularly those who know know your purpose and also feel a connection beyond yourself. So if you have strong connection, particularly to children, to the earth, to the next generations, the decision becomes really clear to make the choice to heal the patriarchy within, to be part of what could help bring in a paradigm shift of something else. So some folks will say, well, it's not a choice for me. Like, this is what I do. And all I want to offer there is like, well, don't negate the power of the choice and that you are actively making the choice. You may believe there's no other decision to be made. I get that. But even before you get to the decision, there's choices before us. And so, when you start struggling with maybe the difficulty of healing the patriarchy within while being surrounded by people moving in the patriarchy, come back to purpose and why you're making the choice to decide to heal the patriarchy within. And stick in this idea, like it does. Healing the patriarchy within is about vigilance, right? Intention, attention, self-inquiry, consistency. That's the path. And there's going to be days where it's super easeful to do. And then there's going to be days where it's not so much, right? And every day is a choice to be made. And that's okay. If your decision yesterday is different from your decision today, I'm going to talk about that the being in self-acceptance of who you are in every moment. But before I get there, the other thing that I want to talk about, like why heal the patriarchy and remembering, especially when you're in those moments of difficulty or feeling like it's a paradox, is I really believe, and you have to consider for yourself where your beliefs are, but that healing the patriarchy within is ultimately about love. And I'm talking about it in the concept of divine love. So not in um, the way that the patriarchy has us defining love, excuse me, which is usually deeply codependent and toxic. And so some of this healing of the patriarchy is figuring out that relationship with the divine within and unconditional love and the concept of divine love in terms of oneness. And that's part of the process. And I think once one deepens a little bit more about that understanding of divine love, compassion, empathy, grace for the self, that the power of this idea that you're in a paradox or that it's too hard to do shifts. Like, we're talking about definitions, beliefs, and behaviors that create our reality. So healing the patriarchy is taking those definitions, beliefs, and behaviors back so that your reality is reflecting more of your core. The other thing that helps is it helps me, and something for you to consider if this is not something you think about, or to affirm if it is something you think about, is that, we are in this moment of shift planetarily. There's all these things happening that haven't happened, for decades and for hundreds of years, thousands of years. We're in this paradigmatic shift. And it is still about choice. Like, what choices is the human species going to make? I believe that humanity is on a precipice, and part of the choice that I want humans to make involves remembering. It involves folks remembering what it means to be human, to be a balanced human, to be in a place of understanding that in balance, what it means is that I have a connection to my sacred feminine and my sacred masculine. Both. It doesn't matter what gender I identify or any of my identity politics or aspects of being. We all have these energies in us. And right now, part of what could be really helpful to our species and our relationship to Earth and our ability to shift away from such a dangerous, harmful, out of balance world is to come into individual balance, to help bring that energy into the world and then reflect it out. And so it means, like, I'm not moving unless it's from inspired action. Inspired action requires that I am moving from my sacred masculine. To move from the sacred masculine means I'm first and foremost in relationship with my sacred feminine, because it's from the heart that my head moves. So any action that I'm taking has first been strategically designed from the sacred feminine to allow for a balanced state of being. So we're healing the patriarchy within, right? And there's moments where there's a struggle to connect. Healing the patriarchy within while being surrounded by so much patriarchy on the outside and even within ourselves, right? So consider, like, purpose, love, and balanced human as things to remember that help when the paradox arrives. The other things that can assist when this comes up is, and this came up in my last episode, but chakra work. So specifically, just general consistent chakra care. And then also, I believe, like, 4 chakras to consider really deepening your engagement of in terms of its healing. It's cleansing, clearing, charging, centering the flow of that energy is the heart chakra for reasons of just helping you deepen compassion, empathy, grace, fierce love. If you are doing higher heart chakra work, I'm going to step into that as well. Also, root chakra in terms of regularly connecting with the earth and grounding in that way to help with the desire for the patriarchy to unbalance you, to create a sense of decenteredness to better oppress, suppress, and control your experience. So really spending some time there with your relationship between your root and the earth. The solar plexus chakra, it houses our choice, decisions, power within, having a clear understanding. What power over patriarchy 100% doesn't want you to understand, to connect to draw from, is power within. Because once you connect with that power within, and then you connect with other folks who are connecting with their power within, we hit power with. You can't divide and conquer when power with exists. So some of that is going to come through your relationship of your own choice, the reality of choice, the reality of free will, and your power within. And then lastly, throat chakra. Because for me, I think so throat chakra can often be, it's about, using your throat, your own voice, communication, integrity. Yes, all of that. And also truth. And I think with the throat chakra, many of us who are who are going to initially at this time in the timeline be drawn to healing the patriarchy within are likely, spiritually cleaning up witch wound stuff. What I call religion's rope. So, you can look up witch wound. I've said this in past episodes. Usually that's going to cover it from a very European standpoint, which is necessary because it's huge. And also a lot of us experience it in non-European, non-white circles. And I call that religion's rope. And that's still happening now, just in terms of controlling our ability to even connect with ourselves, and that in the process and the things that can help us connect with ourselves, being told that that's, demonic or dark arts or all these things that they call it so that you won't do it. Because you're much more easily controlled if you're not connected to yourself. And the throat chakra is going to allow you to clarify your own truth. What is true for you? Like, are you in agreement? Are you in agreement with the things that you're being told from the outside? You might be. And the clarity is great. And then the things that you are not in agreement with, being able to note that, right? See it, sense it, and shift it. Another thing that can assist this work of healing the patriarchy within is definitely around self-acceptance. Self-acceptance is also going to help in those paradoxical moments. In terms of remember, patriarchy, what patriarchy is attempting to do is to tell you all the time, you are too much. You're too small, you're too big, you're too short, you're too tall, you're too energetic, you're too different, you're too empathetic, you're too nice, you're too mean, you're too all these things. And so some of those things could be true for you. You might decide, actually, yeah, and that's why I'm doing healing the patriarchy within. And so it is getting to a point of accepting that. And even when I have work that I want to do on myself, I am in acceptance of who I am. And knowing that even though I believe there's things that I still need to grow into, that I want to heal, that I want to evolve beyond, I am still worthy of love. I'm still whole. I am still loved. And so it's this idea of accept I heard this saying the other day, which I really love, accept the magic, the mess, and the mundane of who you are, and move from there. And then the last thing that might be really helpful to assist in these moments when healing the patriarchy within feels like a paradox, is the connect with nature, which I kind of mentioned with the root chakra. And so you can definitely do it through the root chakra. But also it's just spending more time outside if that's accessible to you, especially if it's accessible to you to get your body, the lowest point of your body, directly connected to earth. So if you have feet, and you can put your feet into the earth without shoes, awesome, right? Or whatever part of you, maybe it's your hands, arms, just something that can connect energetically one-to-one with the earth. Also just being outside, getting more sun, rain, if it's safe for you to do so, being out in the rain, letting the rain fall on you, saying thank you to earth's water, can be such a beautiful connecting point to help bring in and ground. And just remembering that that you are of Earth, Earth is of you, and having a closer connection to it is definitely something the patriarchy does not want. Part of the patriarchy is to oppress, suppress, and control Earth. It's one of the reasons they call Earth she and feminine, which I have no problems with that. But that's that's part of a larger conversation that I'm not going to go into right now. So I'm going to close with for folks who engage in plant magic. Rose came up a couple times in my meditation and channeling for messages for the collective regarding this topic of healing the patriarchy inside when living in the patriarchy. Beautiful thing about the rose is, rose can symbolize Venus, Mars, and the sun. And so with Venus and Mars, traditionally, Venus is considered a feminine energy. Mars is considered a masculine energy. So I found it interesting that came up in terms of thinking about this and looking for ways for the humanity to find its way back into the human consciousness from a balanced state of understanding. Leaning into the rose could mean incorporating rose water, keeping roses on your altar, planting a rose bush in your yard, if that's something that is available to you. Sitting with the rose, meditating about the rose, drawing the rose, spending time with Venus and the rose of Venus, drawing it out, look that up, the sacred geometry of that, and spend time drawing it, coloring it, painting it, meditating on it, just spending some time in that to access that energy, particularly around the times where you might be struggling with healing the patriarchy inside while living in the patriarchy on the outside, because there's just a lot of energy and ancient wisdom that could come up specific to your experience and for you. And then also what came up was Tree of Life, which, if you are meditating, sitting still, to start thinking about the visualization of your tree of life and its connection, the way that it can connect you to your human family, whether you're thinking of that as blood, this lifetime, past lifetime, known ancestors, unknown ancestors, really wherever you are, being in a more specific, consistent relationship with your tree of life can help with that, if that is something that is calling to you. If you are engaging my Healing the Patriarchy-within book, the journeys that popped up, and it's interesting, because I'll sit with my deck as I'm doing these episodes, I will go through the entire deck and kind of see what journeys pop out. Now, that deck is over 75 cards, and the majority of them are called path cards, and then only some of them, 22 of them, are journey cards. And so when I do this, I only bring into this conversations the journey cards, but sometimes some of the path cards pop out, and I'll incorporate them as I'm just talking about the topic. What I really love is that I went through all 70 plus cards, and only 3 cards popped up, and they were all journey cards. Which, mathematically, if I was better at math, I could tell you really what that is, but that's no small feat. It's definitely a message. So if you are following the book, the journeys that came up was Journey 2, Intuition, Journey 6, Polarity, and Journey 7, The Journey. I find it interesting that Polarity has come up twice now, which is around choice and decisions. And, we're kind of in that space of us being responsible for the choices and the decisions that we're making in these times as an individual and how they affect the collective. So I hope that this was helpful to you. I definitely love being in this conversation with you all and sharing this space. Take care of yourselves out there.
This is Rooted Cosmic Soul, Season 2, Healing the Patriarchy-within, a Broom Closet recording, offered with infinite love and gratitude. Thank you for watching, listening, co-creating the energy necessary for this time and space to exist. My energy stays here, your energy stays there. Return when your spirit moves you to do so. Same Bruja time, same Bruja channel. Hey there. If you liked this content, please check out my new book called Healing the Patriarchy-within. It's a detailed process guide designed to help folks find, explore, understand the definitions, beliefs, and behaviors that are inside of us as individuals, because some of them are the same between us and some of them are different. But those definitions, beliefs, and behaviors that are complicit with, that uphold the patriarchy. And it's a process guide to help see, sense, and shift those with a lot of compassion, grace, and love. Having patriarchy within doesn't matter about your gender, your class, your race. It's in all of us because of the wide existence of the patriarchy globally and for multiple millennia. And this process guide offers 22 very specific interweaving intersectional journeys to explore that from your eye, sprinkled with 24 different sacred feminine goddesses, energies, guides to support you as you're healing the patriarchy within. And then more than 44 different individual prompts, portals, activations, activities to further deepen your understanding of where the eye is and how to engage in a healing process. So please check that out if you are so inclined. There's a link in the description, always in all my videos. And also you can go directly to my website, djbarber.com. Thanks again. Also consider subscribing, liking, sharing whenever you find content on my channel that you've enjoyed. It's a beautiful way to support creators of free content and to help build my channel and get me out of the hidden realms of YouTube, because my content is that which is not meant to be brought to light, but you can help be one of those who help shine light on it. So thank you so much. Appreciate you. Unfettered and infinite love and gratitude.